If your brain feels like a browser with 47 tabs open, CBT might be the mental reset you've been looking for. Grab a notebook. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Wisconsin Wellness Podcast, where we ditch the perfectionism and focus on realistic wellness. I'm your host, Laurie Groh, licensed mental health counselor, practice owner, consultant, wife, mom of four, and yes, a very devoted dog mom. Hi, welcome to the Power of CBT. What typically makes these webinars really valuable is the interaction. Now, if you're listening to this on my podcast or watching this pre-recorded, use your internal dialogue if you can in order to engage with the content, because otherwise you could just be reading. We have a lot of information out there. What we really need is engagement, not information. So as long as you're engaging in the content, whether you're here or listening to it afterwards, that's going to be the most important part, because your brain will actually be changing. And that's the whole goal of CBT in the first place. I want you to think about why you are here today. What is one main goal that you're looking to achieve out of our time together? Doesn't have to be a big goal. It can just be that I want to hear more about it. I want to stop overthinking. I recognize that I have a lot of negative thoughts and I want to stop going into them because I know that they're not helpful. Whatever those things are, just mentally make note of it, write it down. Even better if you have the opportunity to write it down. So what we're going to go over today are thought traps, reframing techniques, and real-life applications, and a worksheet walkthrough. Why your thoughts matter. Our thoughts, feelings, and actions all work together, right? You can even put in there, if you really want to, you could put in environment. But we are talking about you right now and trying to isolate that a bit. So thinking about the different thoughts that you have in a day. For instance, I'm nervous about this test. The feeling you might have with that is maybe butterflies, and the actions you might have with that are pacing, avoiding, eating, cleaning your room, which is, I think, what I used to always do. If your thoughts are, I'm going to fail this test, and if I fail this test, I'm going to fail the course. If I fail the course, I'm going to have to take it over again, or I'm going to fail out of school, or I'm not going to get into the college I want. If I don't get in the college I want, then I'm not going to get the job I want, and I'll end up homeless. Those thoughts also create a feeling, and that feeling of nervousness is now much more than that, because those thoughts that we were just talking about, if you think of, I don't know if you've ever did this when you were a kid, but you take a balloon and you're kind of popping it and seeing, making sure it's not touching the floor. Think about those thoughts as that. I'm going to fail. I always fail. I'm not smart. I'm going to end up being homeless. It's actually keeping that feeling, which is the balloon, up in the air, and you're continuing to feel it. Most feelings actually last about 30 to 90 seconds when it's just a feeling. When our thoughts are attached to it, that keeps them going, and we can intensify or bring down our feelings by changing and challenging our thoughts. Our actions a lot of times go with those thoughts. Now, if you also think about what's the easiest thing to change in those three areas, thoughts, feelings, and actions, research shows that thoughts tend to be the easiest ones to change. If you are sad, changing your actual feeling to something else can be very hard. Sometimes people do use substances or something like that, the action, to dissipate the feeling. But actually just changing your feeling is nearly impossible. It's this internal physical sensation. So to change a feeling, you'd have to really work on changing the physical piece. Meditation in some ways can't do that, right? Being present can do that, but I'd argue that is a bit thought-based. Thinking about that and then thinking about behaviors, if you've ever tried to change a habit, that can be very hard as well. And the idea behind this is that thoughts are this easy way to go through it and to reduce some of the negative feelings we experience. So CBT helps you catch the thought before the spiral. And You don't have to believe, and this is one of the most important takeaways. You can turn this off right now as long as you recognize you don't have to believe every single thought you have. You're not your inner narrator. I want you to think about that. You are not the one speaking. Who are you then? Who are you if you're not the narrator? You can put it in the chat. You can think about it. You're the listener. You're the observer. You're the one taking in the words. Yes, technically you're producing them. But if you really think about who you are in this, it's not the narrator. Okay. So let's go on to the next. Cognitive behavioral therapy, just to give you context, has been around for quite a bit. I'm not going to get into the history of it. Feel free to look up Beck and you'll find some information. There's a lot of other, you know how some people just have that vibe, the kind where you could sit with them for hours talking about everything from life's biggest challenges to why cereal tastes better at night. That's actually one of my hiring requirements at Shoreside Therapies. Sure, our therapists are experienced, educated, and specialized in all sorts of things, but the real test, do I feel like I could survive a long layover with them? Because if I don't, I know you won't want to open up to them either. As a self-proclaimed awkward introvert, I've learned that feeling at ease with your therapist is everything. You need someone who gets you, makes you feel heard, and won't make things weird when you overshare about your latest hyperfixation. Our clients are our biggest referral source. That means people love their therapists so much that they send their closest friends, their siblings, and probably even their kids' soccer coach our way. So if you're looking for therapy that's more than just nodding, where you can actually be yourself, come find us. Shoreside Therapies, where therapy is as real as you are. Thought leaders that have really helped with cognitive behavioral therapy, but you can do that a different day. There's plenty of information out there. Today, I want you to focus on yourself, and I want you to think about what are some of those negative thoughts that we do. So I put on here the most common ones: all or nothing thinking, overgeneralization, catastrophizing, mind reading, should statements. Now, there's another one I want to put in there, and that's labeling. I don't need to go on and on about labeling. Just want you to quickly take note of what a label does. So a label is something like calling yourself stupid, calling yourself a name, calling yourself an asshole, calling somebody else that. Think about what you take in when you hear a label, right? So just pretend right now I called you a loser. You're a loser. What'd you feel? Intense emotion. Do you have any direction? Is there ability to change that? Is there any directive information with that? There's none. Intense feeling with actually no ability to make anything different. So it's not actually giving you any information. It is meant to elicit feelings, not meant to get change to occur. Anytime you are noticing yourself, use a label for yourself or someone else, recognize that. It's in its barest bones, not helpful, right? If I'm a loser, what do I do to change that? Can you help me? Can you give me some guidance? Can you tell me how not to be a loser? That could be a really good rebuttal if somebody calls you that. Can you give me some instructions on how to not be a loser? All right. So all or nothing thinking, that's when things are really in that bucket of I'm either the best person in the world or I'm a loser, or either everything's going or nothing is going well. Overgeneralizing is when we look at something and say it is something. So it's similar to all or nothing thinking. It's taking a situation and putting it in this really generic way. So school sucks, right? Or my work sucks, or my family sucks. Okay, you can pop in anything you want for that, but it's overgeneralizing. And same with the labels. It's actually not helping you. It's not giving you actually any tangible information to make something change. Catastrophizing is where something occurs and you add a lot more into it. When I talked about failing a test, for instance, let's say you did fail it. Does that mean you are going to be homeless? It doesn't. We don't know that yet. There's a lot of steps before you become homeless. Mind reading. This is where you are interpreting someone's actions, but you don't really know. I think it's best to illustrate this by any time that we've all had these experiences when we've made an assumption about what somebody meant or what their behavior meant and been wrong. I know this has happened to me many times. That person just cut me off, right? As I'm driving. That person is, rude and disrespectful and thinks some labeling there, but I'm making an assumption that they're thinking I don't matter. Reality, maybe they're having a bad day. Or I'll give another example in a minute, but the mind reading piece is basically putting yourself in someone else's thoughts. And honestly, this might sound harsh, but you don't deserve to be there. That's a boundary cross. You shouldn't be predicting other people's internal worlds. It's not going to be accurate. It's somewhat of a waste of time. Just ask them. All right. Should statements. So anytime you are telling yourself, I should blank, I should do the laundry, I should run, I should exercise today, I should blah, blah, blah. Anytime you're saying should, I want you to really think about our most human reaction. One of the things that we hold dearest to ourselves is autonomy. And so anytime we are talking to ourselves as you should do this, we're going to react with rebellion almost all the time. I want you instead, as we go through this, one quick thing you can do is change that word to I want, or the reason why this would be good, or I get to. Anytime you change that, you're going to have a different reaction internally, more likely to do the thing that you want to do, not should do. Other thing you can do is always check in. Who says I should? By checking in with that, you'll see where that information's coming from. And a lot of times asking yourself that particular question, you notice that isn't actually your belief system. It could be parents, it could be society, it could be really anyone other than yourself. You want to make sure that it's you, not someone else. All right. This is that example of mind reading, the silent text panic. So picture this. I text a friend, something pretty vulnerable, right? Hey, I've been feeling a little off lately. Just wanted to say thanks for being a good friend. An hour passes. No reply. Okay, I'm not feeling too much there. 3 hours pass. Still nothing. By dinner, I'm spiraling. My brain is, she must think I'm needy, right? So that's a mind reading. She's probably pulling away from me, catastrophizing. Why do I even bother reaching out? I'm terrible at relationships. All or nothing thinking. And we can do this so quickly. We are incredible. Our brains are incredible. And when they're used in this way, it can be a big problem for us. But just think about how quickly we can go into this, right? Think about how that feels when you're in that spiral. I'm guessing not great, right? So let's fast forward. She replies, oh my God, I love this so much. I meant to reply right away, but my kid dropped applesauce on my keyboard and my phone died. Love you so much. And this is me pretending to be a Brewers player for those watching. Realizing it, cue to me sheepishly realizing none of these thoughts were true, but they felt true. So that's the sneaky part. They felt true, but they weren't. And I'm not saying that sometimes you might be on the mark, but going back to this, she must think I'm needy. You might predict, but you might predict wrong. And usually we are not great at predicting, right? She's probably pulling away from me. Again, that's possible, but we also don't know that. And then the last one, why do I even bother reaching out? I'm terrible at relationships. This most likely isn't true, right? Again, I'm using a label. I'm terrible. That's not helpful. Are there some good parts about you in relationships? I'm guessing that you can find one. So think about it that way. You know that last one isn't true, and the other ones are guesses. So real life example, again, I blew that presentation and I'm terrible at my job. The thought trap. I'm overgeneralizing here and catastrophizing. So with this, we can do a reframe. You get to decide what these reframes are, okay? You don't have to use my language. I might sound a lot more, as my kids would call me, like nerdy. Yes, they're using a label, and yes, I am too, but you use your own words. You have to be taking this in. So if you use my words, it's probably not going to feel right. But a reframe I would do would be, it's possible that some parts went well, right? Or I know some parts went well because some people were looking at me and smiling. Maybe there was parts of it I would change. What are those things I can change? I can learn from that. One presentation isn't the end all be all. We teach our kids, right? The growth mindset. We want that too for ourselves. No one stands up and does one presentation and is incredible at it. I don't think that's an actual thing. If it is, message me, tell me about it, and then I'll believe it. I'll believe it if somebody sends it to me. All right. Reframing in action. Ask yourself, is this 100% true? What's the evidence? And what would I say to a friend? After that, I want you to write a new balanced thought. Those are 3 quick questions you can ask yourself right away. Another thing you can do is use a grounding exercise. So right now, if you're not driving, if you're sitting, take a minute and do a 2-minute grounding or breathing exercise, right? If you are noticing yourself catastrophizing, spiraling, you can use this technique. So I'm going to have you do it. In your mind, I want you to name that current stressor. So go ahead, close your eyes. I want you now to slow down your breath. Notice how your body's changing. Keep that stressor right there. Slow it down. And slow your breathing down. You can label that stressor. Label the feeling. So I'm feeling what? It could be disappointment, could be sadness. Stay with that for a moment. Is that stress moving? Is it decreasing? What's a gentler thought you can offer yourself right now? Take it in, okay? Feel free to open up your eyes. Just make a note of how you felt with that. 2 minutes, it's all it takes. All right, our CBT quick guide recap. All right, so we want to notice the thought, identify the distortion. So labeling the actual distortion can help, because then we'll start to, number one, see how often we use a particular one. Labeling's one that I used to use quite a bit. If you pay attention to which ones you usually use the most, zero in on those. Put your focus towards those, because those are going to be the ones that come up the most. You're going to find the most changes occurring with your mood and feelings if you are focusing on those. Challenge it with curiosity. Not challenge it with an angry challenge. This sometimes trips people up. A lot of times with my clients, they start arguing, and that's not exactly going to change your feelings. That's going to add more feelings. Just be curious. Okay, where is this coming from? Is this my thought? Is it my parents' thought? Is it society's? Is this really mine? Ask yourself that. Well, that's interesting. I'm doing this thing again. Then reframe it with kindness and truth. Both things. Lying doesn't help you. Honesty will help you. You will believe your honesty. You will feel when it's right. You will notice it. You might be uncomfortable with it, but you will not take in a lie when you do the cognitive behavioral exercises. You'll say, I know that's not true. So for instance, I blew this presentation. It was horrible. If you try to change your thought into, no, this is the best presentation in the world, people are going to come from all over the world just to see me now present. That's not true, and that's not helpful for you long term, right? Sure, you could trick yourself, but that's not actually going to help anything, because with that, you're actually just doing the reverse. Instead of I'm crappy, you're saying I'm the best it ever was. Neither of those things are helpful, right? Neither of them give you direction for growth. Daily tools. So think about some of the things you can do on a day-to-day basis that could be helpful. Thought journaling is one. Self-check-ins is another. So you're just checking in. You can set a timer on your phone. Check in 3 to 5 times a day. What am I thinking? What am I thinking right now? There's this app, like, I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's Be Real, I think it's called. And you have to take a picture of yourself in real time, doing whatever it is you're doing. Think about it like that. You'll get a really authentic thought. What are you actually talking about in your head at that time? Name it to tame it strategy. So research has shown that if we name the feeling, we will actually decrease its impact. That's a really quick, easy strategy you can do. I'm feeling sad, right? That's easy. When you recognize it and label it, this is where labeling can be good. When you recognize it and state what it is, it makes a huge difference in how we feel. It reduces the stress of that moment. Mindful pauses and grounding techniques. We did one that's 2 minutes, right? You have the time to do it. Sometimes it's just about recognizing what we need for ourselves, and sometimes it's prioritizing that. So think about how better you will feel and how that'll impact other people if you start doing some of this work. All right. So now I want you to take a minute and write down one of the thoughts that you've had recently. Share it in the chat. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can comment on it. All right. What's one thought you've had recently? All right. And so now I want you to follow the steps to challenge and reframe. Okay. So what distortion is it? Go through those 3 questions. I'll pull those back up for those that are watching. Is it 100% true? What's the evidence? What would I say to a friend? All right. Please share that in the chat. Big change equals small shifts. You don't have to overhaul your whole life. That's not what this is, right? CBT is about gentle daily practice. This is the thing with CBT, is that one of the hardest parts about it is actually doing this consistently. When you stop doing it, we do slide back into our old patterns. Now, some of the ones I don't do anymore whatsoever, and that's calling myself names. That was something I used to do a long time ago. I cannot remember the last time I've called myself that, besides jokingly calling myself a nerd. I don't do it. So there's some things that can just be eliminated. It's real. It really works. You have to be consistent with it. Your brain can change, right? We know about neuroplasticity, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. If you keep working on it, we will actually change our brains. We have the capability. Research is showing us more and more how flexible our brains are. And this is something we get to do. We can't change what's going around us in the world. We can make some changes, but we can't change everything. We don't have control over everything. But what we can do is start focusing in on ourselves and what will help us feel better, and not feel better in a placating way, feeling better that's real. All right. For those of you in the webinar, right now we can do Ask Anything. Drop questions in the chat. If you're listening to this on a podcast, feel free to reach out, social media, email. All links to all this information will be in the show notes. I want to thank everybody for listening today. Keep practicing. Share this with a friend who spirals too. Do not use CBT on other people. You will lose friends. Am I catastrophizing? Maybe. Do not tell someone else that they are catastrophizing. That's a boundary cross. You can share this, though, with them. I listened to this. Laurie is the best of the best. Extremely intelligent, the smartest person in the world. Okay. Labeling, just tell them it was helpful. We'd love to get feedback and reviews, especially good ones. So if you got something out of today's workshop, please consider reviewing the podcast or go right to Google Reviews. Link is right here. I would love it. It means so much to me. And it helps other people find us. It helps people find us at Shoreside Therapies, and it helps people listen to the free podcast and free webinars that I offer. All right, take care. Have a great day. Keep it up. I'm so glad you're here, and I'll see you next time.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.